Hi everyone, my name is Seun Odegbami, and I'm a sucker for telling stories. Now, how many of you here have actually lost a loved one, or you've probably gone through an experience, or you've gone through a trial period in your life that you feel that it can teach a particular lesson, right? So I'm here to tell you how stories can actually help build a community. Your own unique story, my own unique story, and the other person's unique story. You might think that your story cannot change the entire whole world, but your story can do that. And that's what I'm here to share with you. That one singular idea, which is your story, can actually make a whole lot of impact. Now I'm going to start from here. According to statistics from nationalgeography.org, it says that as far back as 20,000 to 30,000 years ago, stories have been told. And you can see from illustrations, from graphics, from the Egyptians, from culture to culture, informations have been sent from person to person. Now, it's what you use this information to do that's going to help you. And as we go further, I'm going to share with you how those information, how those stories can actually influence what you do as well as your community. Now, I'm going to start by sharing a personal story of mine. As far back as 3-4 years ago, I was going home from work. We had just finished with the client. So I was in my Sunday best. You know when you're in your Sunday best. You're in your cool suit, nice shoes. My shoes were very expensive. I know how much I bought that shoe at that particular point in time. I had my school bag. And if I had knew, maybe I would have done something else at that moment. And I was going back home. It was around 9:30, 10 p.m. And I got to one of the hot zones in Lagos. And immediately I got to that position, two men, hefty men, big men. And I just saw my small self. I saw my stature. And I knew that this guy had already profiled me. And they said, today, we're going to collect everything that you have and we're going to strip you naked. And I sat down in my head and I wondered, Seun, what are you going to do at this particular moment? These guys are ready to strip you naked. A old Lagos boy, you went to Command Secondary School, Ibadan. And these guys want to collect your property from you this time. I'm like, this cannot happen to me at this particular moment. And all those thoughts were rushing through my head. Another thought that rushed through my head was the fact that I like Gary and sugar. I'm not going to be drinking my Gary and sugar and Ekpa again. That's granite. I won't be eating that again at that particular point in time. Now I'm wondering, what am I going to do right now? So now I'm going to go to the part that says that when you want to tell your own story, in fact, your unique story, now you need to inflect your personality, right? As well as understand that people have relatable things that happen to them. Each and every one of us have a story, but they are relatable. Some people have stories of having cancer, right? Other people are just coming through that process or they are going through the process of having cancer. The fact that you can come out and actually share your story can help that particular person going through that process. Imagine if your story could actually impact one person and change that person. And imagine if you can change one person, you could change the whole community of people. So when you are trying to relate and when you are trying to share your stories, you have to actually make sure that you're creating a hook. You're starting with something relatable. It doesn't have to be a fallacy. It doesn't have to be false. But you can share your story. People can easily pick if your story is true or if your story is false. So I'm going to go on with my story. Now, at that moment, I thought to myself, guy, this cannot happen to you at this moment. And I cited at the other part, I cited a tricycle. And I told myself I was going to run to the next road and I was going to enter the tricycle. And then I didn't even think, I just jumped at that moment. I thought to myself, I'm Superman today. Today, this Superman has arrived. And I jumped inside and I told the guy, be going anywhere you want to take me. I'll pay you any amount at this moment. Because I calculated the cost of my laptop, my shoe, my suit. And I said, how much is this guy that will take me to this place? And then the guy took me. And the guy said, this is not how you're supposed to do when you come to this hot zone. When you come to this hot zone, you carry your school bag, you put it to the front. If you are wearing your shoe, you put your shoe in your bag. You make sure that you have your money in your pocket. And then these are the things that you need to do. And then it took me to a bus stop where there was a little bit of light, and I entered a cab and I went home. Now, when I got home, it got me thinking, and I said to myself, Seun, I think you need to actually share this story, because stories are what makes your life documentable. If you look at social media today, a lot of people share stories. Instagram has Instagram stories. LinkedIn is adopting stories. Snapchat and all the other social media platforms are adopting story. Why? Because they know that there's a fundamental aspect to having and sharing stories that can actually impact a lot of individuals. But it depends on actually how you want to use it. For example, some can share their story via text, some video, or any other means that you feel comfortable with. Now, I'm going to go back to my story. And then I got home, and then I sat down and I thought to myself, I said, this unique thing just happened to me. Like, I just literally escaped being robbed. And in my mind, I felt like a Superman. And then I went on social media, I went on LinkedIn, and I wrote what happened to me. What amazed me, or what blew my mind off, were the comments. Not even the fact that the post went viral. People came to the comment, and people were sharing that the same thing had happened to them. So imagine you went through something tough in your life. You're trying to get a job. You haven't gotten a job in the last 6 or 7 years. You're having issues. Imagine if you actually shared that story with somebody else. Sometimes we always feel that sharing success story is everything. But no, success story is not everything. Sometimes the stories that you have that has been a trial to you is what can help the next person. Now, I went to the comments and I was browsing through the comment. There was so much interesting thing going on in the comment. People were laughing because I jumped into the kekemara because I said, oh, I'm a Superman. People were laughing and smiling. In the midst of people laughing and smiling, over 80 to 90% of persons said that they experienced the same issue in the same area. And then people started listing hotspots in Lagos where you shouldn't go to in the morning when you are going to work, what you need to do when you are going to work, how you need to package yourself so that you don't get mobbed in the morning or in the evening. So there's so many interesting things. And what I found out that was going on was people were creating a community. Things were happening. There was an interconnected relationship. And that's what happens on social media. There are interconnected relationships that happen on social media. So now the interesting thing about this is something happened, recently, earlier this year on Twitter. And then someone wanted to enter a bus, or she entered the bus and she was going for an interview. She had already dressed up like someone who is going for an interview, suit and all. And then somebody in the bus just said that, are you going for an interview? And the lady looked and she didn't want to talk because, we're in a society where you just have to keep quiet sometimes. You don't want to do something that will piss somebody off. You just want to be, excuse me, I'm sorry, please. That's the word we normally use here before you talk. Please. You say please, even if what you're saying is good or what you're saying is bad. And then she didn't want to talk. And then somebody said something in the way we say it, the slang that we say, Soros, okay. And then she spoke out and she said she's going for an interview in this particular location at this particular time. And then somebody said, you cannot go to this place. It's not possible. This is what happened. And then they stopped her. And then somebody even offered to give her transport fare to where she was going to. So you can imagine if somebody had refused to share a similar story, that lady will have gone for an interview and then we'll know what happened next. We'll be sharing pictures and stories. We'll be sharing. No, solutions should come before something happens, not after it happens. We should be proactive in how we're doing or how we're sharing thoughts. And that's what stories do. They help you to be proactive. And stories also help you to create emotional connection. Now that I've shared this story, you understand a part of me. You understand a part of what I've actually been through. Now, another thing happened, or something else happened interestingly, when it comes to sharing stories that can actually build community. Now, about 4 or 5 years ago, I was in a position where I was trying to switch jobs. I couldn't do that. So I was looking around. To me, I found no solutions. But the truth is there's solutions, but I couldn't just see it. So I went online with 2 of my friends, and then we shared that we're having issues in trying to transit from job to job and trying to change jobs. And then we received overwhelming comments and people had the same problem, but they didn't have a voice. I was like the voice for them. And then everybody came out, started commenting. And then we decided that let's harness this community that we've built. So we came together and we started a foundation. We called it GSDC, Graduate Skills Development Program. And then we came together and then we decided to host the first program. We had people who came in to speak for free. The person who paid for the hall paid for it for free. People that would charge you normally thousands of naira to come and teach you a skill. They were there. They taught people skills, and they taught people how to do so many digital skills, how to do your CV. I sat down there also. I was able to revise all that. And then over 60 persons attended that event. And today, if you see these 60 persons that have attended, they are in various places and doing fantastic. So you can imagine if we didn't share that story. You can imagine if the people in the community didn't come together. So we came together, we built something, we built a program. So here's what I'm trying to tell you. If you're not sharing your story, you're keeping the world away from what could actually help them. Your unique story, that pain that you feel, something that has happened to you, you've lost a loved one, share the story. But don't just share the story. You must ensure that as you're sharing the story, there's a lesson that comes with the story. And what is the lesson? The lesson is what will actually help people. What lesson? In terms of trying to build yourself, in terms of trying to build character. So if I step into an interview and I tell you that this is what I did, I organized that event and organized a program, I brought speakers together to train people. That is actually an experience that I have gotten. So you could actually build some things. You could actually teach lessons from all those things. So I want you to go away with one thing. Share your story. Share your unique story so that you can help build a community. Your unique story will propel you. Your unique story will build people around you. Ensure that you continue sharing your story and make sure that you create a voice for your story. Social media is a fantastic platform for you to create your story. Thank you.